and we're happy to have you. So what we typically like to do to start is do a poll just to kind of see who's in the audience. We like to do this because um, particularly if you're able to hang out later on to enjoy the breakout sessions and meet people. A big part of this is being able to meet people in the community who are just as enthusiastic as you are about the startup community in Ann Arbor and around Michigan. But it's always great to kind of see who's out there. So we'll launch this poll to give everybody about a minute or so to kind of just share like what your background is, whether you're an entrepreneur, you're aspiring to be one. We have this bucket of other. I think that's kind of like connectors, educators, whatever those people may be. If you put others, we have a couple. Feel free to write into the chat what other is. But yeah, I know that Roger can't fill it out, so we're I've finally learned that about 2 months ago after doing this for about a year.
I don't think I can either, because I can end the poll and I don't want to do that.
Yeah, I think the co-hosts aren't allowed to fill out the poll, but at least we have some latecomers. But yeah, we're just doing a quick poll just to kind of see, what your background is, so we can just show the diverseness of our A2 New Tech community. Okay. I think with that, I think we have probably everyone there. I'll end the poll. I'll share the results. Have quite a few others in here, so that's really cool. So looks like Diane has shared like her other. She's a connector, but the others who put other, we'd love to kind of see what you put in there. But primarily we have entrepreneurs, those looking who are interested in starting a venture. So that's really cool. Hopefully you get some inspiration tonight and opportunity to chat with our presenters, a couple investors, a designer, and a couple software developers. So that's really cool. All right. So again, a great reason why we do this is just kind of show it's a place for you to be able to connect with folks. Another great place to do that is through our Slack. I will share the link to that, but the link is madeina2.com/Slack. It's a really great place to be able to still further connect with folks that you meet tonight, see any interesting announcements. For example, a friend of the community, Brian Hayden, just recently announced that they're looking for someone to help out with a project that he's working on. So it's a great place to kind of learn about projects, ask questions, things like that of this nature. And before we jump into our main event tonight with our presenters, I'm going to quickly thank our sponsors, because without them, we wouldn't be able to keep this going. So starting with A2 Geeks, the one and only Roger Rail, and our co-organizers, the Entrepreneurship Clinic at U of M's Law School and Ann Arbor Spark. For those who are first timers, I'll give you a quick rundown of how this works. We have 3 presenters. They're going to have 5 minutes each to pitch or just present their company. And then we're going to move into 5 minutes for Q&A. If you have a question, feel free to just write it into the chat. The presenter will just read it and answer it. If they don't get to your question in your 5 minutes, no worries. They will just type into the chat the response to your question. After that, we'll go into community announcements. So if you have an announcement such as you have a meetup yourself that you're running, or you're trying to hire for something, or you're looking for jobs, think about your community announcement and feel free to share it during the community announcement time. If you're able to hang out afterwards, we're going to go into breakout sessions and just chat, hang out with each other, and just meet up remotely, obviously. With that said, we do plan on maybe going into a hybrid live/remote model in the next couple of months. I'm meeting with Forum. If you have joined us previously, they presented a few months back. They have a really great space down on just up on State Street near the stadium down there. It's really great for like kind of a startup ecosystem. I got a chance to visit it recently. It's a really great space, and would love to have people check it out there as well. But more to come with that. We're just going to have to figure out the logistics of all that, how that's all going to work. And with that said, I'm going to just quickly mention who's presenting tonight. First, we have Nadine from Throdle. Then we have Megan from Clovo. And then to round us out, we have Travis from PathBird. So with that, Nadine, I'm going to spotlight you and let you present Throdle, which is a community that drives real connections between car influencers, car enthusiasts, and auto businesses.
Perfect.
So with that, take it away.
So I'm going to close this poll. That's all right, right? Okay, and anyone coming in, you can edit them. So that's perfect. Let me just share out my screen, make sure this works. I hope it works. Okay, so are you seeing everything here? Okay, perfect. All right. Yeah. Okay, so thank you very much, everyone. As Hyan said, I am Nadine from Throdle. I do recognize some faces in the audience, so it's really good to see you again. So everyone here knows somebody who loves cars. I don't know why my screen's not moving. Okay, hold on. Yeah, there we go. So we all know somebody who loves cars, who might go to car shows or watch NASCAR or watch an episode of Top Gear, or who just love fixing them up. Now, Motor Trend TV Network gets about 2 billion views each month from people just like them, all who have different interests and different makes and models. Now, we estimate that there are about 8 million car events hosted annually worldwide, from motorsports events to rallies to drives and to shows. And auto businesses like OEMs and aftermarket vendors are collectively spending about $33 billion a year on digital advertising, just trying to reach out to these enthusiasts. So what issues are they facing? Well, users all want to show off their cars. They want to connect, they want to meet up, and they're fatigued with mainstream social networks, and they prefer to be on a platform that is just about cars. Event organizers tell us that they're using outdated systems like Excel for check-ins, and they're missing opportunities to sell more tickets to their events and to gain sponsors. And automotive businesses are now faced with the blocking of third-party cookies and Apple privacy changes. So how will they deal with this adpocalypse and reach the enthusiasts who are most likely to buy? So how can we help? Well, Throdle is a dedicated automotive social network that connects enthusiasts through cars, clubs, and experiences. It's an app and a web-based platform where members are able to show off their skills, their cars, their modifications, and their awards won. And we can connect them with clubs and events that match their interests in locations that they're looking for that they can easily share with their friends. And clubs and event organizers have a complete toolkit through our single, easy-to-use platform where they can engage and retain their members, that they can promote their events to a wider audience and offer sponsors more measurable spots to be seen. Meanwhile, we'll be collecting a rich set of first-party data that marketers will be able to micro-target buyers and increase their revenue. So how are we going to make some money? Well, through over 100 customer discovery sessions, we validated that both users and businesses are willing to pay for a solution to connect. And these micropayments will give us a run rate while we gather audience data and prove that the audience is the business is viable. Meanwhile, the Ferrari Club of America, the Women in Porsche, and the Detroit Mustangs have all said that they could monetize our event announcements through sponsors and sell more event tickets on a dedicated automotive platform. And they'll be paying through a subscription method monthly. And with all the members that they have with their clubs, we expect this to help grow our user adoption. And finally, as we release more features and our users become more sticky, our data becomes our unique differentiator. We have an advantage in understanding customer intent signals and moments because we're collecting their cars, their garage, and their modifications. And so we'll sign some enterprise contracts with any organizations that are looking to leverage our data. So far in terms of traction, we launched our MVP in December 2020, and we've had over 2,000 downloads. And we haven't spent that much on Facebook ads. We've actually had some members approach us to be ambassadors for us. And we've got an average user rating of 4.9 on both app stores. So how are we going to attract more customers? Well, our main go-to-market strategy is to have strategic partnerships with auto influencers and brand ambassadors in key cities. We need to promote and we need to share media content, but mainly we'll be asking them to talk to their followers and ask them to download Throdle, where they can see their garages. We'll also continue increasing brand awareness through our YouTube channel, which has since had 90,000 views since launch. And we'll also invest heavily in merchandise. As you know, giveaways like t-shirts and cars are very prevalent in the automotive industry. And you'll see us at local car events and at larger car shows like SEMA and the Woodward Dream Cruise. Meanwhile, we'll target some clubs that want to engage and retain their members and are looking to attract younger audiences. We already have agreement from some of the BMW CCA chapters to come on board, and we're super excited about that because once we land those, then we have a pathway to the other 67 chapters that they have and to expand to their other 70,000 users. And finally, as we try and we scale, we will be positioning ourselves as the trusted platform of choice for auto enthusiasts, and this will help us with customer loyalty. So in terms of our goals for the end of the year, we've already managed to raise our seed round, and we finished that about a month ago. And we'll also be launching 2 monetization features by the end of October. So our main goal is to onboard a lot of users and automotive clubs so that we can help gain that critical mass. So at this point, I'd like to thank you for allowing me to present to you today. And I'd love to invite you to download the app off of both app stores and check us out on our website. Thank you.
All right. Thank you, Nadine, for sharing Throdle with us all. I'm going to add the website here and give folks a chance to think of their questions and just type them into the chat, and Nadine will get to them. I guess the first question I have for you, as people are writing things in, is what got you interested in starting Throdle?
Sorry, can you repeat that? I didn't hear that part.
Yeah, what got you interested in starting Throdle?
Oh, what interests me? Actually, I had a co-founder back in the day. He was very much on the supercar and exotics kind of thing, and I was very much loving the idea of doing the technology and the experiences and the events. That was where I had the joy from it. So I guess combined, we just came up with this idea.
Cool.
Did Diane have a question there? Okay.
Hi, yes, Nadine, I have a question for you. My name is Bo. Great speech, by the way. Can you hear me okay?
Yeah, I can. How are you?
Good. So my question is quick. How did you forecast the growth of all the active users for the following 5 years?
So we looked at some of the competitors in our space, and that's how we took a look at that, and we could see approximately how many downloads that they had over the last couple of years, and we kind of used that as a projection.
And when you compare, well, when you look at your competitors, is there already a platform or app that's already existing, or you're just comparing to the old, like the traditional competitors?
Yeah, good question. So I would divide our competitors into 2 fields. So I would say there's the mainstream social networks, which I wouldn't say are direct competitors, but they are still competitors, of course. And then there are other car social networks out there. I think we differentiate ourselves quite a bit because they very much are focused on the end user, and they're also focused on America as their main location and demographics. Whereas we already have in our roadmap that we want to be multilingual and we're looking to be global. And more importantly, we've used it in such a way that we are allowing automotive clubs to come on as a separate entity and auto businesses. And really our platform is allowing everyone to connect and to monetize from the platform.
I see. Okay, and now I have one last question. What is your profit model, or do you even have one at this point of your startup? Does it matter?
Well, we are not generating revenue at this current time, but as soon as we do launch those first 2 monetization features, which we should have by October, we will not be profitable until about until our 3rd year.
Okay. Thank you very much.
No problem. Thank you for asking.
Yeah. And it looks like Diane typed in a question for you there, Nadine.
Sure. How far along is a multilingual part of the platform? Unfortunately, that is on the roadmap for 2022. So we haven't started that yet. But definitely French will be on there, Diane. So, okay, good. I'm very happy about that. Any other questions?
Looks like Zahir has a question. Oh, Zahir like DM'd me. The question is, actually, I'll just copy and paste it.
Okay. Model of expanding user. So it kind of depends on which type of influencers you're speaking to. So when I think of micro influencers, I think about those with like maybe 10 to 15,000 users, and you think about larger macro ones, which are about 1 million. So it's different for every single one. Actually, we're bringing on board a gentleman who created the automotive influencer platform at Roush Performance Parts. So he's going to be designing that for us. So yeah, it's completely different. And no, I'm not in the Bay Area. We are a Michigan-based company. We've been working with Spark for the last, I guess, 9 months. Yeah.
But Nadine actually lives in London right now, so.
Yeah, but I'll be moving over in like 2 months' time. We've actually outsourced the development and the design. So I am not capable of doing either of those.
Yeah, thanks for that. I just wanted to know, as a startup founder, how do you think about that process? Because it's a question that everybody gets asked. How do you think about in-house development, design? Do we go out or not? I was just curious what your strategies on that.
I have been through, I've been through the rounds on that one. So we've been through our 3rd development company. So if you ever want to have a conversation about what not to do, come talk to me. Because I made the mistake of actually hiring the wrong people. And, you go down that path and you don't realize the mistakes that you're making until it's too late, right?
Yeah.
So unfortunately, doing your due diligence on the company is really, really important. So yeah, we have a large team. They're based out of Portugal, actually. So you've got the Scrum Master, you've got the analyst, you've got the, and we also went native as well. We didn't go through React and do just one code base, which makes it even harder. So yeah, there's a lot of work that goes into that. And then we have our UI designer, and we have a UX designer as well. So it's a big team.
Cool. Thank you.
Awesome. And I think we have like one last question here for you from Tony, and then we'll
definitely. So we are speaking to some of the larger clubs like the BMW CCA, the FCA, Ferrari Club of America, Women in Porsche. Definitely. If you have anyone that you want us to talk to, please let me know. We've just brought on board an advisor. She is on the board of Women in Automotive Care. She's 25 years in the automotive aftermarket OEM space. So definitely, she thinks that there's a very good opportunity there, because very much they're all looking for this global database of car enthusiasts, which doesn't really exist if you think about it. If you're trying to figure out like how many automotive clubs there are in the world, it's a very hard metric to get a hold of. So I think, somewhere down the line, I think we're going to be very valuable in terms of our user base.
Okay, and with that, Nadine, I want to thank you for your time tonight. Well, tonight for you particularly, this afternoon. I'm going to actually share your emails with the group. So if anybody has any follow-up questions, they can reach out to Nadine. And thank you again for sharing Throdle with us.
Okay, thank you. Do I need to make Megan the presenter?
You do not.
Okay.
She should be good. So I'm just going to remove you from the spotlight there. I'm going to add Megan. You're already spotlighted.
Thank you.
Okay, so before we jump into Megan's presentation, I just wanted to just quickly mention that I appreciate all the really great questions that we've just been asked. But just to keep things moving along, if you can feel free for future questions, type them in. That would be greatly appreciated, rather than just like speaking them out. But with that, I'm going to turn things over to Megan, who founded Clovo Brand. Clovo uses Tencel Lyocell to create clothing and accessories that empower women and the environment. And with that, I'll hand things over to you.
Awesome, thank you. I'll go ahead and share my screen. Can you see okay?
Yep.
Okay, well, hello everyone. Thank you so much for having me. My name is Megan, and I'm the founder and CEO of Clovo. Clovo is a sustainable fashion brand that makes natural hosiery and undergarments that offer unheard of comfort and sustainability. Growing up, I wore sheer tights a lot with my school uniform. However, they were absolutely awful, as they were as itchy as a wool sweater, sagged like I forgot to wear a belt with my pants, and ripped really easily. As I entered college, tights were still a staple in my wardrobe. However, I decided to do something about the problems. Meet Clara, a 25-year-old woman who likes to wear sheer tights because of the way they look, but absolutely hates the way that they feel. After interviewing her and 200 other women in our millennial target market, we found that most women do not enjoy wearing tights because they are uncomfortable, itchy, fall down, rip easily, and so much more. The problem, however, is bigger than just tight wardrobe malfunctions. Sheer tights are made of synthetic materials that are made from crude oil-based nylon. This material is not good for the environment as it creates pollution from its production to its use to its end of life. In fact, Clara's tights throughout their production will contribute to the 10% of CO2 emissions released by the clothing industry each year. And when she washes them, they will release tens of thousands of microplastics into our oceans. And when she's finally ready to throw them away, they will sit in the environment for over 30 years. However, Clovo has invented Clara's dream tights, called Ever Tights. Our innovative short design completely eliminates sagging and is form-fitting to women of all body types. It also adds durability and longevity. We use a material called Tencel, which is a wood-based fiber that is produced in a renewable energy powered manufacturing plant in a closed loop production cycle. So it is not only sustainable, but is also produced sustainably. Some of the key benefits of Tencel include skin friendliness, breathability, moisture management, and bacteria growth resistance. The size of the global hoiser market is about $50 billion. We are currently within the US hoiser market, which has a size of about $14 billion. It's also interesting to note that the sustainable clothing industry is expected to reach about $16 billion by 2030, and that millennials are currently the fastest growing consumer segment. The products that we currently offer are, as I mentioned, Ever Tights, as well as Revo Tights, which are just like Ever Tights, but without the short. And we recently released boy short underwear that are also made from natural true materials. Clovo falls into the middle of the market in terms of price, and the upper part of the market in terms of comfort, longevity, and natural materials. Our closest competitor, Swedish Stockings, falls into sustainability as well because they make their products from recycled nylon. However, they are not using natural materials, so they still have harmful chemicals and release thousands of microplastics when they are washed. Our target market are millennial women ages 20 to 35 who live a sustainable lifestyle and love the way that tights look, but hate the way that they feel. We are taking a direct-to-consumer sales approach currently through our Shopify platform, which we are marketing through influencers, partnerships, paid ads, social media marketing, and in-person trunk shows. We currently have 3 key manufacturing partners, with our Tencel manufacturing being for our material, and we have a distribution center based in Los Angeles, California. We received nearly all 5-star reviews from our Kickstarter and e-commerce sales, with women saying that they love them because they're comfortable, breathable, that they don't ride down, and so much more. Clovo's milestones. So we started in 2018 and formed as an LLC in 2019. We spent about a year before forming as an LLC, redesigning tights and revolutionizing the matching material. Last summer, we completed a successful Kickstarter campaign, and officially in August, we received our first 3,000 units. And we're also selling in Australia this summer. And in the future, we're hoping to enter into retail and expand into international logistics. We'll be attending a B2B trade show this coming August to help reach these goals. We are featured in many popular sustainable fashion media, are listed on many different marketplaces, and are verified as sustainable by a few different brands. My ask for today is if anyone has any contacts or can make an introduction to any boutique store owners in Ann Arbor, and to please follow us on social media. Our handle is @Clovo Brand. Thank you so much for listening, and I hope that you all join the clothing revolution with us today. And I would love to take any questions that anyone has now.
Awesome presentation, Megan. Thank you for sharing Clovo with us. Yeah, seeing some of those statistics are just mind-blowing, and it's really awesome that you're working on this. As folks are thinking of their questions and writing them up, question I wanted to ask you is, I'm always interested in the kind of MVPing process for a physical product like this. So can you talk a little bit about kind of how you went about and developing your initial kind of like MVP and how you went about like testing it?
Yeah, it was hard for us because tights, they're circular knit, so you need a very specific machine. So we unfortunately couldn't get a machine like that in upstate New York where I was at the time. So we literally bought Tencel swatches online and sewed everything together to really create the feel of the fabric. And then we had a few different ideas initially for the design. We at first had started with like sewing underwear on there, but we got really bad feedback on that. So that's kind of why we transitioned to the short. And that was more of a simple thing to add. So just sewing a short onto a regular pair of pantyhose, just get the feeling of that. So that was really how we went about testing it. And then once we were able to figure out our material, we got a sample made with our manufacturing partner and we're able to test that sample from there out.
Awesome. Thanks. Looks like you have a couple questions here in the chat.
Okay. Let me see if the chat's there. Okay. Okay, so for the question, what makes right tights rip and yours different? So tights are usually made of nylon and ours are mostly made of Tencel. So it really comes back to the material composition. So Tencel fibers, when compared in a lab versus nylon, even versus cotton, are known to be much stronger. And I think it does come back to them being that like natural tree material, just how the fibers are made and turned into a yarn really just differentiate them and make them a lot stronger, because nylon is just like a plastic that is pretty easy to rip, especially on a very sheer scale. Curious why the expansion into Australia versus other countries. So a reason that we went into Australia was kind of a coincidence, as well as their market is just really huge for sustainable companies. So we got into a partnership with a marketplace based out of Australia, and they were just opening up some brand logistics for people on that marketplace. So it kind of was just a perfect opportunity to have an opportunity to get warehousing as well as distribution at a pretty low cost in Australia. And again, like they had that really big sustainable clothing market. And then what is our revenue model? So currently we, like by the end of the year, we want to have it about 70% direct to consumer through e-commerce and 30% retail. So we're looking to make partnerships with boutiques to small shops to larger retail locations. And then, do you know why larger companies aren't already doing what you're doing at a scale? That's a great question, and something we get asked a lot, because you're wondering why doesn't Spanx just make single tights? And I think it really does come back to these larger companies. It's really hard to disrupt what they're already doing, just since it would be very expensive to change to a natural material. For example, like natural materials are a lot more expensive to buy versus like raw nylon, which is plastic. So it really disrupt their business models as well as what the consumer would pay. So I think that they're just not ready to give up their great margins to change to sustainable options. As well as like the US market in general is not as sustainable as other ones. So that's another reason. Are you using a plant-based fiber like cotton? No, so we use Tencel and it's completely made from trees, so eucalyptus and beech trees. And one reason that we chose Tencel is that it can be made thinner, so our tights are pretty sheer versus cotton, because there are cotton tights out there, but they're very, very opaque and they're more for like very winter items. And cotton also is not as sustainable as Tencel since it uses more water and energy to grow it. So kind of looking at the whole life cycle of these fabrics and fibers as well was an important decision when we used Tencel.
All really great questions. Any other ones for Megan?
What about Tencel Lyocell? I'm not sure if I understand the question.
Yeah, Son, do you mind clarifying what you mean when you say what about Tencel Lyocell?
Yeah. So we are using Tencel Lyocell. Yeah, that's the one that we're using. Yeah, no problem. Thank you guys for your questions. They're great questions. Yay.
All right, Diane.
That's exciting. Thank you so much.
Look-
We're looking at brand extension yet. Yeah, we are looking at innovating into other products. We definitely, our model is very much innovating undergarments and also making them more functional. We don't want to just be doing what everyone else is doing. We want to find those niches like tights. So that's our plan. And we are looking into a certain type of sock actually. So that's fine.
All right, we have about 60 more seconds for questions for Megan. So if you have your question lined up, feel free to type it into the chat. If not, I'm gonna throw in Megan's email here, so you can reach out to her. If you remember, Megan, as folks are in their last, oh, Hassan's asking the last question.
What about bamboo? It's something that we've explored. It also can't be as sheer as Tencel can go. So it really depends on material properties. But one limitation of using these natural materials in tights is that some of them can be thinner than others. And that's like another reason why there isn't a lot of sheer tights that are natural in the marketplace currently. Most companies, if any, use recycled nylon. But we have looked into bamboo, but they can only go down to like 100 denier, which is pretty thick. That's pretty much opaque at that point. And denier just means like the thickness of the tights. But great question for sure.
Cool. Learned a lot about tights tonight. But Megan, thank you so much for taking the time to share Clovo with us. It's a really cool product and business, and what you're doing for the environment is really great. If you don't mind, do you mind repeating your ask again for everybody?
Yeah, sure. So we're currently looking to expand into some boutiques in Ann Arbor. Since I'm a graduate student there, so I'll be moving back in the fall. And I would love to, if anyone has any connections or can make an introduction to a store owner there.
Great. Yeah, so if anybody knows any boutique owners around town, please connect them with Megan, so we can get Clovo in boutique stores. And with that, again, thank you, Megan, for presenting tonight.
Thank you.
With that, we'll move on to our last but not least presenter. This is an ongoing joke for tonight for those who weren't in this. But we have Travis, who's going to share PathBird with us. PathBird builds self-guided interactive lessons for computational skills. And with that, I will let you take it away.
Thanks, Hein. So my name's Travis, and I am pumped to talk to you all about PathBird. So PathBird is an educational technology startup, but also, I think more importantly for me, I want it to be a way to positively impact the way we approach STEM education, and in particular, coding education. So I'm willing to bet that pretty much everyone here has had that experience of being in a classroom, like seconds away from falling asleep. The professor is droning on and on, the lecture slides are just whizzing by, and every student in the classroom is completely zoned out. And it's like a funny scene, but also it's a problem that's endemic to our education system, and especially STEM education. Students are passive participants in their own learning. Students are very much in the passenger seat of what they're doing. They are on a road trip that honestly they did not want to be on. And believe it or not, this doesn't make for the best learning experience. So we set out with a mission. Is my slide updating? Should be on mission now. Oh,
there he goes.
Weird. So we set out with a mission. It's honestly very simple. We want to put students in the driver's seat of their own learning. We really want students to be at the wheel, so to speak, controlling the throttle, controlling the brake. We want students to be the ones making decisions, setting their own pace, and even deciding when to take detours and when to take breaks. And importantly, this doesn't mean that the instructor is uninvolved, but it moves from a model where the instructor is maybe, in this analogy, more like the chauffeur, to where the instructor is the one designing the road trip and acting as a guide to help students get unstuck whenever they get a little lost. So PathBird itself is an online web-based platform for interactive learning. Instructors create their own content. They will create these lessons for their students that take them on a journey of discovery through a concept. And the key critical thing that we do is we phrase all of the learning as this exercise and inquiry-driven approach. So the way it actually works is, if the slide will advance, hello. Lessons typically consist of 40 to 60 of these guiding questions. We will give students the background they need. Maybe that's a little bit of math, maybe it's a little bit of like exposition. And instead of telling them the answer, telling them what they're supposed to be learning, we ask them a question and we say, hey, you got to figure this out for yourself. The students really put in the legwork to create their own knowledge. We are right now very much focused on code, and this works super well with coding because you just have the whole world at your fingertips. You can change a million things with just a handful of keystrokes. And the main conceit of the way that learning works is that you start with the lesson and you only get the beginning, and you have to complete the exercise before you can move on. And doing that, we're really able to like create this narrative and linear sense of a journey for the student, but also, I think more importantly, the students aren't just learning the content at hand. They're not learning neural networks. They're not learning linear algebra. I mean, they are, hopefully, but they're also learning in a way how to learn, how to, approach learning new things once they get out of the classroom. And we're able to, make these questions as the lesson goes on more and more open-ended, more and more, take away the guide rails more and more. And so, that's kind of a grand vision. I think we also recognize that like there are very real logistical things that instructors are trying to solve. So we I've really just tried to make it as easy as possible for instructors to create their own content, to avoid all of these problems like setup problems where everyone's trying to install Python on the first day of class. That just happens all the time in every coding-based course I've ever been in. The team right now is mostly just yours truly. Raj is my co-founder, more of an advisorial, I think that's the word, role right now. We work together, University of Michigan. And so it was created at UMich under Raj. We used it in coursework. We're now expanding to these programs via the University of Michigan ECE department. We've done a couple of cool programs. And I think really our next steps are just trying to go beyond Raj. We're a little bit early, and we're really in the process of trying to find other professors, other instructors outside of Raj, outside of UMich, outside of ECE to be beta users for the platform. So I will end it there. I guess my broad asks for y'all would be, first and foremost, I would really love to find connections with people in the STEM education space, professors, instructors, also maybe boot camps, continuing education programs. Surprise me. I also put my link tree in the slides. Feel free to like go there, add me on LinkedIn, send me an email. I'm happy to answer questions. And with that, I will take some questions now.
Awesome, Travis. Thanks for sharing PathBird with us. I'll let folks type in their questions, and I'm gonna put in the URL and the email as well. And I guess you went through the trouble of adding your link tree, so I'll go ahead and add that link.
I set that up today. It's wild.
I guess as folks are typing in their questions right now, are there any competitors or like similar alternatives that are not necessarily close to being to like PathBird, but who else is trying to like solve this right now, and where are they kind of falling short?
I think there are a lot of people trying to solve the problem of there are not enough educators for the amount of education that we would want to see in the world. I think that a large part of that problem is never going to be solved by a startup, to be very clear. Like, very much need to invest in training teachers, paying teachers, supporting teachers, etc. There are things like Coursera, which I wouldn't really consider a competitor, that go, I think, way too far into like trying to shove people down this education pipeline, right? Try to get into the certificate that they pay for. That very much removes the human touch. And then there are a couple of other competitors that focus a lot more on the logistical aspects of things, those kind of setup problems that I briefly alluded to, which I think we do pretty well too. But so I think the real value is in these kind of exercise-based lessons. Could you briefly show us an example of a course? I will add to my link tree an example. I meant to do it before, but if you want to like play around with the students facing experience, we have some lessons on Intro to Julia, Intro to Python, some like neural network stuff. Super cool. You can see how the approach works. Are there specific software languages you target for coding? Do you have some type of revenue model? Yes, right now, Python, Julia, and R, because those are the languages that tend to be very interactive. Do we have some type of revenue model? Right now, it's very early days, so we're still working on it, but it tends to be like per student headcount, either the institution will pay or the individual students will pay a fee for access to kind of the platform for example, a semester. Essentially, what is your secret sauce? It's honestly hard to explain without doing it. So I will add an example to my link tree, or like a way to register for a course on my link tree. But it is really this integrated place where instead of being told information and then like maybe if you're lucky quizzed on it later, you are the one who is actively like discovering the information for yourself. And the platform is designed in a way to create that ability to go through things. Yeah, I think that comment is fair. Honestly, probably just a failure in my ability to create slides more than anything else.
And I'm just gonna quickly mention this out for everybody. Like this is meant to be, first of all, let's appreciate that our presenters are here to sharing with us. Like so, it'd be best that we try to keep things positive, not necessarily. I think Hassan, I think I understand what you're trying to say here, but yeah. But I mean, if you have other questions, if you want to be asking to further understand, I mean, where Travis's secret sauce is with like PathBird, feel free to ask for clarifying questions. Okay, we have about 2 minutes for additional questions for Travis.
So you're looking for other instructors to use this? Very much yes. I think we don't want to be the next like Coursera. I don't think we are, at least right now, wanting to be like a marketplace or anything. It's very much like you're an instructor, come use this in your course, put your own content on it and do it that way. Yeah, so very much interested in connecting with other instructors, even if it's just to pick their brain.
How are you kind of going about right now, like in terms of finding these instructors?
It tends to be a lot of like just cold emailing people with mixed degrees of success. Finding connections through our existing like university connections, to be honest. There are a lot of cool people at the university at UMich doing cool stuff. So being able to like go down those roads, I've made some cool connections. But I think it's been a little bit difficult, partially because people don't entirely want to like have their course depend on something that is not super popular, right? There's always that risk at like, what if you shut down in a year? Have you looked at partnering with public school districts? Yeah, so we went down this kind of high school road for a while, and I think I'm sorry if I make this clear. I think right now we're very much focused on the university level. High schools tend to have like very strict requirements, so they are teaching APCS Java, right? Which I have a lot of opinions about, very few of which are positive. And so they very much want off-the-shelf content that to be frank, like we don't have. So I think we are going more towards the university faculty who have a lot more freedom, are a lot more build your own type mentality. Do you have an MVP? Very much yes. We've been using this in our course for the past several years at this point. What slide am I trying to be on? Yeah, so we've gone through at least probably 2,000 students on the platform so far, featuring like right now we're in the middle of this intro to Python course for high school students with around 1,300 people in it.
Okay. Any last questions for Travis?
Will this be a subscription model? Yes and no, not exactly like the kind of typical ARR type thing, but I think the revenue model is going to be per student per semester, and there ends up being a kind of annual component in that, not in individual people coming back necessarily, but in that courses tend to come back, right? So you get cohorts that refresh semesterly or annually. And students build courses. If you're interested, reach out to me. Right now, the instructor experience is in beta, I will say. So it's gated behind an email to me, but not sure what the future holds for all that kind of stuff.
Great. And with that, I think that will be our last question for Travis right now, but I've shared his email in the chat. And Travis, thank you again for sharing PathBird with us. If you don't mind just repeating the ask again for us.
Just connecting with people in STEM education space, especially people who run courses with computational components, oftentimes stats, data science, CS courses, that kind of thing. Yeah.
Awesome. And thank you again for sharing PathBird. With that concludes our presentations for tonight. We'll move into our post-pitch announcements. So if you have an announcement, whether it's a meetup that you want to promote, you're trying to hire for a specific position, looking for a co-founder, etc., feel free to type into the chat your announcement if you have one. As you're doing that, I just want to quickly again want to thank our presenters tonight. Nadine's no longer on the call with us tonight, but she is further ahead in the evening and we appreciate her staying up to present tonight. But we do these meetups monthly, every third Tuesday. The next one will be on August 17th. And as I mentioned earlier, we're going to try to look at doing something in a hybrid live / virtual. It won't be in our next one, probably September or October. Trying to shoot for September. Just how to figure everything out, make sure it's as safe as it can be. And yeah, we have an announcement here from Zahir. Reveal Design Automation is looking for a co-founder with experience in cyber. Zahir has his or her email in the chat there. And then Travis, I don't know if you saw Hassan's last message directed to you. Cool. Awesome. Cool. Quadrabot is just entering a seed round. Any leads for angel investors or family offices would be appreciated. Would you mind sharing your email or contact information for anybody who may want to reach out to either ask for more information or connect you with the right people? I'm going to also add these announcements to the meetup page as well. Okay. Another minute or so for any other announcements that people want to share. All right. I'll just buy some time, but will quickly jump in and say, if you yourself are interested in pitching or nobody who should be pitching, you can email me at hein@a2newtech.org. As you kind of seen tonight, the general criteria is that it's in tech in some aspects connected to Ann Arbor/Michigan. You've done some customer validation, it's out there. It's not, as long as it's beyond kind of ideation, you might be perfect to be presenting at A2 New Tech. So feel free to shoot me an email, and I'll send you a general questionnaire and we'll go from there. And I think we're working actually with Diane to maybe get some presenters from another pitch competition recently to have a little takeover to have them share. Dan, do you want to provide just a overview or summary of who these presentations will be from?
Absolutely. I think for those of you who know me, I am known to be a talker. Health Spark Accelerator in collaboration with 20 Fathoms in Traverse City, all the way up, Michiganders do this, right? Traverse City up there. 20 Fathoms hosted a 12-week digital health accelerator. Demo day was June 30th. And out of the 10 companies who went through the accelerator, 4 are Michigan based. And so they're looking forward to talking to you next month.
Awesome. Yeah, we're looking forward to having them. So with that, I want to thank our presenters again for sharing their startups with us tonight. If you can support them, please do so. That's one of the beauties about this community is, as being able to help each other out. You get good karma for that. And with that, I will just quickly mention again that our next meetup is on August 17th. So mark it on your calendar. Diane just gave an overview of who will be presenting then. And I'm going to break us out onto breakout sessions. And thank you all for joining tonight. Hope you can stick around and just meet some of your fellow cohorts here. And stay safe out there.
Oh dear. I enjoyed both of your pitches.
Thank you.
Oh, thank you.
Greg and I are privileged to be part of the group with 2 presenters in it.
Yeah, you're welcome. You can thank us later.
So how was your experience presenting, both of you? What did you pretty much go like the way you expected, or?
I'll let you start.
Yeah, I think for me, it has felt like it was a normal presentation, I think. Definitely always hard to move the slides around, but gotta get through that part, I guess.
I am exceptionally bad at presenting these kinds of things.
I wouldn't say that.
I hesitate to say bad. People say I'm bad at math, and I'm like, no, you're not bad at math. You just need to put the time in and learn it. Everyone can learn, right? Big theme, learning for me, right? It's very much one of those things. It just does not come naturally to me at all. So it takes a lot of practice. And I got I think some helpful feedback. I was chatting with my friend who was also here over text and basically said, yeah, you did well, but it's kind of hard to come across without a demo, which I agree. So I might figure out how to incorporate that better into my presentation.
Yeah, I mean, the product itself is not really easily transferred to a slide.
Yeah. I mean, ironically, it's a product that is kind of designed to eliminate slides in terms of lectures, at least. So
yeah, you pretty much have to do the product in your presentation.
Yeah.
And
we have a really slick homepage, which I have just used in lieu of slides before. If you want to, PathBird.com, if you want to go, it looks super cool. But yeah.
So Megan, what are you studying at the U?
I'm studying energy systems engineering, so it's very much renewable energy or any energy system, but I'm definitely focusing on the renewable clean energy side.
Which kind of engineering? I missed that.
Oh, sorry, energy systems engineering.
Is that a new program? I'm not familiar with that.
I'm not sure. It's through ISD, Integrated Systems Design School. I'm guessing so, 'cause renewable energy is a fairly new field, fairly in the past couple decades or decades. So, yeah. What do you guys do though, Roger and Greg?
I mean, I'm an independent IT consultant. I focus mostly on professional development, process improvement, knowledge management. Right now, I've been doing a lot of work with various companies upgrading Office 365 or upgrading to Office 365, and they're using that chance to build governance or rebuild governance, business process automation. That
Awesome. That's cool.
Yeah, I'm retired.
Are you
But
retired?
in my retirement, I started helping with entrepreneurial and startup groups. Like I was doing the videoing for A2 New Tech. Of course, with Zoom, there's not much to do. I take the recorded video and I chop the beginning end off and post it. But
just don't tell HiNet,
Yeah, well, I keep the spreadsheet of all the talks that have gone on, going way back to the beginning, so you can you can see who's presented before, and there's usually a link to the videos for each event. So, and it's good for newbies they can kind of search through and see if there's any startups that overlap with what they're doing, and they can kind of see what people have done in the past, how they presented, and maybe learn from that. At some point, I suppose we'll have an AI interface that will that will harvest all that information and put it into Travis's app and
my goodness.
And have knowledge transfer instantly to your brain cells or something.
Hopefully. I honestly I've looked at a couple of different startups around the edtech space. And honestly, anytime I see AI involved, I run at 1,000 miles per hour in the opposite direction. It is scary. Yikes.
Yeah.
Hi, Robert.
Hello. I was in another room and I got transferred over to here.
Oh, okay.
Well, we're happy to have you.
Yeah, I think sometimes the number that gets defaulted number for the Zoom breakout rooms is sometimes a little too low because people have to go eat dinner or something, and having 4 or 5 people I think is a good number.
Yeah. Megan, I guess how did you get started in all this startup stuff?
I
wore tights.
I went to Colgate Yeah, I wore tights. That's true. And when I was at Colgate University for undergrad, they had a entrepreneurship incubator there. So that's kind of where I started Clovo in 2018. And I was also doing environmental engineering research on the rivers in upstate New York and how the impact of personal care products impact the environment there. So it's kind of like a very scientific approach to the fashion industry, because I'm definitely my whole background is in science. I do think it's kind of funny that I'm in the clothing industry, but
yeah,
here we are.
It's interesting. I definitely have to grapple with the fact that business things are different than maybe the way that I would want to do things. It's kind of a technologist at heart.
Yeah, it's interesting to come from a different background into business. I agree. So did you start yours while you were in college, or?
Yeah, kind of. I ended up developing the product while I was an undergrad, working with a professor who's now the professor I mentioned, the co-founder slash advisor.
Very cool.
Then graduated college, was like, I could do this, or I could go work for Facebook. And it was hard to turn down the money, but fine. I still work for the university right now because I enjoy having health insurance, believe it or not. But someday, hopefully.
That's cool. What do you do for U of M?
Oh, I have a super fancy title, experiential learning software architect. The lines are a little bit blurry between what I do for PathBird and what I do for the university, which is all kinds of conflict of interest nightmares, but it's fine. But it's kind of being on both sides of this. Like, we're doing these courses through the ECE department. Like right now, this Joy of Coding course for high school students. So it's helping out a lot with that, developing things for that. I think I'm going to end up developing like a randomized test software thing for this upcoming year as part of my like contract renewal. So, yeah.
That's really cool. Wow. That's cool that you get to like kind of work in the similar field of your startup too.
Yeah. Yeah, it's fun. I enjoy not having a conventional boss at the very least.
True. Nice.
Do you work in, Travis, do you work in a certain department or between?
I'm in
engineering, electric?
I'm in ECE, electrical computer engineering.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Megan, where did you go to undergrad?
I went to Colgate University in upstate New York, just a little small liberal arts school. Most people don't know about it. It's not related to the toothpaste. That crossed your mind.
Megan, I have a quick question about your tights. Have you? They look ideal for the cosplay community. Have you looked into any of that, or do you understand why that would?
Yeah. We've definitely thought about it, and I think it's something that we definitely want to do in the future. I think we definitely looked into it, and we do have one male ambassador. I'm not sure if he's in cosplay, but that's kind of where we're starting, and I think we are going to integrate it more within like the next year. We were mostly focusing on, because we had like really interesting like target markets. Like we're currently targeting like flight attendants and like school children that wear uniforms. So I think that it's just been kind of on hold just due to like the ability to reach out to this many people and handle that many like different niches, I guess. Like trying to market to too many people is sometimes an issue. If that makes sense. But yeah, no, definitely, I think that is a huge market. I agree.
What are some of the other market areas that you've brainstormed and might do someday?
Yeah, one really fun one. It's actually another U of M alumni. She has a brand that makes tights for ice skaters, and her thing is that they are inclusive coloring tights. So tights for women of all body colors. So we're going to be doing a partnership. So we're going to go into that ice skating / dancer niche and make sustainable tights that are inclusive coloring. So kind of hitting the social as well as environmental impacts. And then we have flight attendants. We have businesswomen. It's less so in industry these days, but some businesswomen still wear tights, especially in the winter. And then, yeah, the school children. And then there's just like a huge sustainable fashion market that we want to get into in Europe someday. It's just a matter of distribution costs right now. It's way too expensive.
Have you ever have you ever looked at outdoor, like REI? You know, they sell, or Bivouac, they sell, you know, warm coats and clothes, and for outdoor, I don't know, people that go outdoors. I don't do much, but I was thinking, you know, hunters, fishermen, and just, I don't know, people snowmobiling, you know. Have you ever looked at that?
No, I think that we've always thought more of our tights for like fashion or for like uniform style type things, or for yeah, like cosplay or costumes for Halloween. I'm not sure if they're typically worn for outdoor. Because I know there's like the there's like footless types. I think that would be more appropriate for that, just since. But I mean, honestly, not a bad idea to look into it though, for sure. They are really warm. Or making like an alternative product that might fit better in that market, I guess, using the materials.
And are you in Los Angeles? I saw a Los Angeles address there.
Yes, I'm in Redondo Beach.
Oh, okay. But you had a connection to University of Michigan?
Yeah, I am a master's student there, so I'll be back in Ann Arbor in the fall.
Oh, okay.
I'm
I saw on the email address as a giveaway.
Yes, I'm just out here for the summer.
Yeah. Oh, wow.
Everybody not wearing too many tights right now in LA area with the heat that.
It's very hot. It's very hot.
Yeah, it's only 85 here today,
everywhere.
so it'll cool off.
That's hotter than here.
It'll cool off by this fall.
It is
Oh my God.
a lovely 68 degrees in Seattle, Washington. I have all my windows open. It's amazing.
That's nice. That's a fun place to live.
Yeah, I finished my undergrad, finished out my lease, and said, I love Ann Arbor. I think I will probably end up back in Ann Arbor for like a later stage of my life, but like I had two requirements. I wanted to be in a big city and I did want to have a car. So Seattle, definitely a good choice for that.
Have you been in Seattle or West Coast before, or just, I mean, did you have some connection there?
I grew up in Texas, but my family moved to Oregon. So it's like, it's close enough that like I can go visit, but like far enough that I don't have to go visit. But also I interned in Seattle for a while ago and I enjoyed it. I love the weather up here. So.
Where in Texas could I?
Austin.
Huh?
Austin.
Oh, nice.
Suburbs thereof, but like still within the city limits, you know.
I went down to, we drove down from, well, I went to that other big school up the road, Michigan State, and I drove down over Christmas vacation, my senior year. A friend from college, he lived in Harlingen. It's called Harlingen. It's near McAllen. It's on the border, Rio Grande. So.
Hello. Yeah, I'm not that familiar with Texas anymore, to be honest.
Okay. Bye, Greg. Yeah, we drove through Austin. Nice area.
Yeah.
Oh.
Wouldn't want to be there in the summer.
Oh.
So Mike, welcome.
Hi, Mike.
You're muted.
Can't hear you.
You're muted, Mike.
Is it better now?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Now I can hear you.
There
Yeah.
you go.
How do you do, guys?
Yeah.
Well,
So your group, there wasn't enough people, or you just decided this was a more interesting group?
I like Roger's background.
Yeah, that's Honey Creek behind my house. A video of it from last year.
Yeah, it's nice.
Pretty much looks like that right now, except no sunshine. It's in the shade. Yep.
So when is actually the meet officially starting?
Say again.
When is it starting officially? What time?
What time did this start? Oh, you just now joined?
Yeah.
Yeah, A2 New Tech starts at 6:30 Eastern time.
Oh, I see. So it's actually over.
It's over. We have a recording of it that will be posted in a matter of a few hours. So then there'll be a link to it in the comments on the meetup page. part of what I do.
Okay. So then I'll have to go through that again.
Yeah, you
Okay.
can review it there and make comments. What do you do, Mike?
I do work for automotive custom material handling equipment, a specialty quad steer carts and specialty racks for them generally, and some other stuff as well. Working a few projects on its own. One particular one is so-called smart plow. That's robotic plow that would clean the streets, like replace city plows that they attach to the front of a truck. So it will clean the snow, but without blocking driveways or any side opening, like bus stops and all that. So in one scoop, it will go from end to end of the street, and you can get in and out the driveway anytime.
So is that
So
something?
you won't get to read your snow.
Is that what brought you to A2 New Tech to maybe present something about that in the future?
Basically, that's true. I am actually seeking for venture capital for a prototype, because I find I spoke to a few cities. They're very enthusiastic about seeing one to test it, and actually they will start replacing fleets. But I don't have a prototype, so I'm looking for people to join in producing one and to get going.
Okay, well, snow removal. I used my snowblower 3 times last year here in Ann Arbor. And 2 of those times I didn't have to use it. It was only like a bunch of snow.
Yeah.
So
It's
you might
it's true.
want to,
Things are funny now.
you might want to move up north, reach out to TC New Tech, because although we got more snow in Ann Arbor than they did this last year, but the farther north you go,
Well,
the better chances.
yeah, I live in Woodstock in Ontario, but depending on the winter, sometimes it's enough to get even only a few days, but you're late for
Right.
work, and I see some old people try to reopen the driveway. They get heart attacks. Basically, the side streets are blocked at the intersections and all that. So there's a great interest. That was the main problem cities they have right now: blockage of driveways, and drivers get physically attacked. Basically, I was tempted a few times.
Yeah.
Block your driveway just after you cleaned it.
Yeah,
So
well, just come to the A2 New Tech next time, right at 6:30, and you can reach out if you want to present. There's a organized
I was just
A2 New Tech.
that I tried. This is second time I'm late, and I'm just trying to get in time, and things are rolling on top of each other. Yeah.
Well,
So
glad
when
you
is
stopped
the
by.
next one?
It's a month from now. It'll be the 3rd Tuesday of the month, always the 3rd Tuesday. So whatever that.
Would you by that time? Would you have them in person by that time? What do you think?
Not next month, but maybe September. And even if we do that, it might be a hybrid. And if you're in Canada, that's probably the only way you're going to be able to make it, unless I just heard on the news today that they're going to open up the border pretty soon. So, but that's still
Looks
Woodstock.
like
Woodstock is it's near Toronto, isn't it?
Well, between Toronto and Detroit, so like almost midpoint.
Yeah.
Like a couple hours. Well, let's say 2.5 hours from Detroit.
Right. I'm trying to think of
Which is not bad.
all the cities I know along the way there. Guelph.
Yeah. That's all by 401.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, gentlemen,
we'll see you next time, eh?
yes, sir. Okay. Take care.
All right, I gotta run.
Yeah, I think I'm going to sign off too. Everybody have a good week.
Yeah, you too, Robert.
Best of luck. See you.
See ya.
See you later, Roger. Thank you a lot. Thanks.